now we go into part B, which is Shavuos itself. So now, what's fascinating is I think there's two things we know about Shavuos. And both of them can come with incredible questions. One we know is we stay up the whole night at Shavuos cause something about Klal Yisrael not waking up from Matan Torah. That's one. And two, we know we eat milchiks. So the question is, why? Let's start with the milchiks. I found there's a sefer halachically speaking. It's in English, a wonderful sefer of David Leibowitz. He quotes, I think it's 12 different sources why we have milchiks in Shavuos. But before we go there, there's a fundamental question. It's Yom Tif. And on Yom Tif, there's a din of having basar v'yayin. So how in the world can you have milchiks? So we're going to get to all the reasons. But what's very interesting is the Ramah writes, you have milchiks, and then you have fleishiks in the same Suda. Why? Because that's reason number one. That the reason we're having milchiks and fleishiks is to have the shtei alechem, which was brought on Shavuos. Shtei alechem means you have to have two breads. When do we ever have two breads? We have one bread every Shabbos. We have lechem mishnah. We only eat one. But if you have milchiks and fleishiks in the same Suda, Halacha says, if I made Kiddush and I washed, and then I brought out, I don't know, some sort of dairy, I was going to say fish. I don't want to get the Sephardim, excited. You bring out some cheesecake, you bring out something as your first course. Great. Now you want to continue your meal. What do you have to do? Got to change the tablecloth. Got to wash your hands, rinse out your mouth, take a bite of something parv, and change the bread from the table. So you know what happens? You end up with two breads. Says the Ramah, that's reason number one to have dairy on Shavuos. And that's where the Ramah writes, no yagin. That used to be the minhag. Now, we'll point out, Chassidim Lamaisa don't do this. Chassidim are makbid, I'll be the Zoyar, not to have dairy and fleishiks within an hour or a half hour of each other, depending on how you learn the Zoyar. And if one has such a minhag, then Gavaldik, maybe you just have to sing a lot of Zemiris, I'm not sure. But some have a minhag not to do it in the same Suda. But that is reason number one. Before we get to other reasons, Chassidim have different minhagim. I'm not, we'll let the Chassidim weigh in on what they do. Some would do that, yes.
You said the bench? Or no?
No. The Ramah writes, Kiddush, wash, dairy, rinse out your mouth, wash your hands, change the tablecloth, they use a placemat, change the bread, and then you have fleishiks. No, and you go straight into the meal. Now, just to point out this one detail, just one we're here, then we'll go more into Shavuos. L'maisa, the whole year, you're allowed to do this. Meaning, if one is makbid on the Zoyer not to have milchiks and fleishiks in one meal, givaldik. Does one have to be makbid? No. I mean, it's minhagim hazah. Let's say you don't have a minhag. I'll just tell you personally. There's many a Friday night. You're tired. So what do you need? A cup of coffee. You're about to have fleishiks. Okay, so that comes by the soup, by the meat. So after Kiddush, after Challah, have a cup of coffee with milk. There's nothing wrong. Now, there are halachas I think we actually spoke about one time over here. We spoke about it when the tainus was on a Friday. We made mention that you can't be having milchiks and fleishiks on the same table. So if there's fleishiks on the table, you need to have a hecker. You roll up the tablecloth. We made mention you got to wash your hands and wash your mouth. But lamaisa, it's a mutter midina to have milchiks and fleishiks in the same meal. Again, some have a hanhaga not to, but that is in general. Now let's say you're not doing that. You come home, you tell your wife, yeah, we're gonna have milchiks. I don't know what religion the rabbi in shul is talking about. But in our religion, we don't start doing milchiks and fleishiks in the same meal. A lot of people just can't be saivalit. Okay, so what do they want? They want to have a milchik suda. So now the question is, what about the chiyuv of basar v'yayin? So there's many answers to this question, but the simplest answer is, simplest answer is do what we said like the Ramah and have meat at every meal. But let's say you don't want to. So the answer is you're going to have meat on every day of Yom Tif. Why? Because let's say you'll have milchiks the first night. We know in Yiddishkeit, the night and the day is one day. Then the next morning, you're going to have fleishiks. So you didn't go at each day of Yom Tif had basar v'yayin. Not necessarily is it a din every Suda. That's the simplest answer. Shabbos is Pashas not the same thing. Shabbos is a chiyuv shalish Suudais, and l'chayra there's a chiyuv to have basar both the night and the day. L'chayra. Again, it's complicated, but so the next answer is some place can bring down that lemaisa, if you're the whole reason for basar v'yayin, there's two reasons. One reason is karbanis, and the other reason is because of gishmak. If it's karbanos, you're right. There's nothing you can do, and you're losing that time. But if it's because it's a chashav of suda, you tell some people, what do you mean? I serve sea bass and I serve dairy. This is more chashav than your little piece of whatever you're serving over there, your schnitzel. It's true. It's true. And there are those that are mako. The pashtus is to have fleishiks at each suda. And again, just to point out, let's say someone says, I want to be makbid. But their family wants to have a milchi yisuda. So it's a very simple eitzah. You go finish the meal, you go to the fridge, you open up, you find something from leftovers from last night. You take a piece of schnitzel, you take a piece of meat. You go sit down after you wash your hair, have a piece of meat. You didn't make anyone. Exactly. You don't make everyone else mishuggah. You don't have to make your wife mishuggah. She wants to do what she wants. You don't have to make the kids and the zaytas and the bubbas and the ganze mishpacha. You want to have flesh? You go. You take it. Just don't sneak it. Thank you. Don't go dipping your schnitzel. Okay, good. So that's copy that. Let's take 2 moments to make a left turn and just bring down many gishmaka reasons why while you have. Well, so actually, one second. I want to break this up into pieces to make it palatable. So again, so that is having milchiks and fleishiks in the same suda. That is the basic reason why we have milchiks, and that is how we answer the kasha about having milchiks. Fleishiks, basar v'yayin at every suda. That's part B. We're going to break everything into small pieces, make it nice and bite-sized. A shikl shmorgas.